Hey, what up, students? It's time for our next clay assignment. We're making clay fish. Guys, with this assignment, this is another opportunity for you to experiment with clay and get a better understanding of how it works and how you need to work along with it. With this project, you're going to get a little piece of clay in which you're going to be able to mold with, and we're going to take step by step in order to make a pinch fish. Your pinch fish is not just any ordinary fish. Your pinch fish can be just about anything that you want it to be, as long as you follow the guidelines of pinching that clay together. So follow through the steps and you're going to end up with a pretty cool looking fish. So here we go. Alright, so as we know from doing clay projects before, we need our clay working materials. For the pinch fish, what we need our canvas board, our scoring tool, and our slipping water. And obviously, we need some clay. So, with this clay, what you need to do first off is you need to pinch off a little bit. Okay? Probably about the size of a large gumball. I'm going to set that up here. I'm going to set it off on the side. I don't want to play with it. I don't want to mess with it because clay holds moisture. And the more we mess with it, the more we play with it, the more our hands steal that moisture from the clay. So we want to be very cautious of how much we're touching it, how much we're playing with it. Now, first step of making a pinch fish is taking the rest of your clay and making a ball. Once you're done making a ball, then you're going to set it down. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your ball and then make it into a taco shell. You're going to flatten it. Now, the way that I like to flatten it is I like to take it with my hands and I like to press it against side to side. I'm not being reckless. I'm not being careless. I'm being very careful, so therefore it doesn't get out of hand. Once it makes it about the size of my palm, then I set it down on the canvas board and then I slowly hit it to where it's all one even thickness. Go something like this. Now that it's about this size, I'm going to set it down and then slowly hit it so therefore it's all one thickness. I'm making a pancake, that's what I'm doing. Woo! That's my size of pancake. Look at that thing. I like to make sure that it's no thicker than my pinky, but then again, we don't want it to be too thin. We don't want it to be like as thin as a sheet of paper. Oh no, the moisture won't last in there. So now what I'm going to do is, my next step is then to fold it like a taco shell, okay? But before we do that, we have to make sure that we score this side and this side, because those two areas are the areas that are going to get pinched together. So whenever clay is touching clay, you have to score and slip. So I'm going to take my score tool and I'm going to score this area right here along with this area right here. This is going to end up being the top of my fish. This is going to be the tail of my fish, and this is going to be the mouth of my fish. So, I'm going to take that water, dip my hand into it, place moisture down where I scored, and then fold like a taco. My score marks are touching. I'm going to tap it down a little bit to create a flat surface on the bottom of my clay. So therefore my fish would like to stand up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this clay and I'm going to pinch it. And that is why it's called a pinch fish. All of this extra clay I'm going to add in to that clay that I kept off on the side. And again, this is the top of the fish, this will be the tail, and then this right here, that's going to be my mouth. With this top portion of my fish, I want to round off the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to push that top over, and then I'm going to blend it in to the rest of my clay, that side of my clay, and I'm gonna blend it in by just pushing it over and smearing it in, so therefore it all becomes one body of clay. Now I've got to make my tail. For my tail, again, I've got to make those score marks on the inside. Add in that moisture where I scored, and then I'm going to continue to pinch all the way down, just like this. Combine it, and then pinch it. Again, this area on the back here, I want to fold down a little bit and I want to add it in so therefore it blends together, and that way I have a separation between my top fin and the tail. So there's my dorsal fin, there's my tail, and now it's time to start adding in my other features. I'm going to add on some eyes, I'm going to add on some fins, add on some texture because it's everywhere. And so I can take my extra clay now. I'm going to start off by doing a fin. I'm going to take just some clay. I'm going to take my fingers just like this. I'm going to try to pinch out a triangle. Just like this. It's thin. Almost like a shark tooth. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to score and then score where I want it. And then I need to place it on there so therefore I have a lot of surface touching because I don't ever want it to fall off. So if I was to attach it like this, that's not a lot of surface touching. If I was to attach it like this, again, only that surface is touching. I'm going to lay it right down onto my fish on the side, just like that. And then I'm actually going to push and smear that right into the body. And then do the same to this side. Try to get them to match as best as possible. I want the same size fin, approximately the same area, so therefore my fish is symmetrical from side to side. Again, place it on there, push after scoring and slipping, and then smear so that way it attaches. just like so. Now it's time to add on my eyes. So to do an eye, what I do is I take off some clay, I make it into a ball. And then I add in a pupil, score the bottom of the eyeball, score where I want to place the eyeball, slip it, slip both surfaces, and then attach by one, placing it on there. And then I gotta take my finger, and I have to add on the pressure from underneath and then add some pressure on top, so therefore it stays. I'm going to go with 2 different eye sizes just to make it interesting. So I went with a smaller eye, again, because these fish look a little cartoonish. And as you can see right here, it's starting to want to split here on top of my lip. That's totally okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tool and I'm just going to work that clay together. And then once I work it, I kind of want to stay away from that area because that clay is so thin to where I need to be careful. Now that I have my eyes, my fin, now it's time to add in the texture. I want this to look like a coral reef fish. Coral reef fish, their texture is super, super intense. It looks rough like coral reef. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna drag it through all of my fins. And then I can change anything that I want to change as of right now. I can kind of pull out my fin a little bit, so therefore they look like maybe he's swimming. I can curve his tail a little bit. And I could add a tongue on him if I wanted to. I could change his face a little bit, so therefore he might look a little more like a grumpy fish. And I can be all done. Guys, clay again. Clay is one of my favorite things to use just because it's so versatile. You can make things that you use, and you can make sculpture, artwork that you look at and appreciate. There's a lot of different things that you can do with clay, and clay gives you great opportunity. And that's one of the reasons why I like it. So guys, have fun with this. Learn a lot on how to use it. Watch how the moisture changes inside the clay, and as the moisture changes, you can't move it as much. So guys, have fun with this, and I can't wait to see how your fish turn out.